I hear the Dr. Pepper. Let's go.
Let's go.
When do we get sponsored by Dr. Pepper?
God, imagine getting sponsored by Dr. Pepper. I would love it.
Tay, you should email them.
Yeah.
Okay, I will.
Send them the pictures. Be like,
yo, we love Dr. Pepper.
Would we rather be sponsored by Dr. Pepper or Baja Blast?
oh my god, I love Baja Blast. I don't know what it is. It's just like, it's like Taco Bell in a drink.
Oh, man.
It's like a little cartridge of Taco Bell.
And it's just so fun to say, Baja Blast. Like, everyone knows what that tastes like, but that's not a thing. Like, you cannot taste Baja Blast unless you try a Baja Blast. We should release this intro part.
Hey nerds, welcome back for another episode of the Our Anime Podcast. Today, I'm so excited to announce that we have a very special sponsor for this episode. Yes, that's right, it's Sentai Filmworks. Because the only thing that's better than Taco Bell in a drink is licensed anime. And just to show how great they are, we the Tokyo Podfathers and Sentai Filmworks are having another special giveaway for the release of the Made in Abyss movie. All you have to do is follow us, Tokyo Podfathers and Sentai Filmworks on Twitter, and like and retweet the announcement for the episode to get a chance at winning one of 2 Made in Abyss t-shirts, or, even better, one of 2 free tickets for their online home release of Dawn of the Deep Soul. And if that's not enough, you can also get a second entry to win by commenting on this episode on our YouTube channel, the Our Anime Podcast. Now, without further ado, let's descend to the 5th layer. All right.
Hey everyone. Oh,
sorry.
Wow, wow, Sinris. Wow, Sinris.
Trying to steal his shit.
All right. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Our Anime Podcast. I'm Pete Steele Taylor, you can call me Tay, and we've got an awesome podcast today. I'm so excited about this episode. It's something that we've been really building towards kind of for 5 months, but also for many years before that. And it's gonna be a blast. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get through it with this awesome group of people, and thanks to our awesome sponsor in Sentai Filmworks. But before we start, because this is going to get a little gritty, little dark, I want to start with a bit of a lighthearted joke, to kind of set the mood.
Oh, let's go.
Let's go.
Why can you never trust stairs? They're always up to something. Do you get it? Because of the stairs?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, before we get any further ado, let's shout out the crew. Dr. Pepper! We're not actually brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Today, we are brought to you by our friends over at Sentai Filmworks and High Dive. You already heard about it in the pre-record. We'll get to it back at it again at the end of the episode. So let's shout out the crew. You know us, but just in case you don't, I'm Pete Steele Taylor. You can call me Tay. We got the amazing, the awesome, the Dr. Pepper loving Mozilla Penkin. How you doing, Moz?
Nah, because Nanachi. That's the sound she makes. That's in character.
That's good. Yeah. And she's what kind of hat would you say Nanachi has? Is that almost like a witch hat or no?
I have not thought about this. Let me
That's
analyze
a great
this.
fucking question. Hold on,
Like
I
That
gotta
is a
Google this.
really.
It's like a fluffy hat.
It's
Yeah,
not
I don't
up
know.
enough.
Is that a category
to
of
be...
It's kind of a
Fluffy
triangle hat,
Yeah.
Oh, it's a podcast hat. It's a Podfather's hat.
Triangle
It's a
hat.
Podfather's
Nanachi's
hat.
hat is the podcast.
Wait,
Oh, man.
oh, okay. This is actually something I was wondering while watching the movie. Does her hat have eyes on it?
I thought so, too.
I think it's like made out of the head of something.
I think so.
I
I
can
don't
see
know if
that.
it's still alive.
I don't know.
Oh, no, I think those are. I mean, those could be like monster eyes, but
I don't know
they
if
kind
they're
of look
like,
like pearls.
yeah, I don't know if they're like baubles or if they're eyes.
Maybe. That's a good question.
Why not both?
Let me look it up. I don't know.
So, and we have the our official question asker, Cinerus. How you doing, my man?
I am doing great, having a fantastic night. I made pasta carbonara for dinner, had a glass of wine, and I'm in peak
Nice.
podcasting form.
You love to see it. All you need is like one of those ration bars too, on the side to complement it.
Oh,
you know?
yeah,
Those
totally.
Tastes like wall.
You know, the thing they like almost threw up after eating?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Peak
You know?
podcast form.
We're sponsored by whoever makes those.
Yeah.
That's our sponsor for today's episode. Brought to you by Ration Bars. They'll make you almost throw up. And then we have the person who's doing the research, the grunt of our podcast, but also the biggest celebrity on the internet and Twitter.
Stop saying that.
King807. But it's true. How are you doing? And what would you like to say to the 2 million followers you have on Twitter?
Thank you for that. I'm here bringing you the rumbling of scientific triumph to determine that I don't think Nanachi's hat has eyes on it. I think they're just purple beads. I don't think they're eyes.
All right.
He did the science.
Okay.
Subarashi indeed.
Subarashi.
I'm gonna say that
Yes,
nonstop.
all right. It's, oh my god. Where to start? So, I think before we begin, I want to give a heads up to people in case you didn't read the description, which I get it. I'm illiterate. I don't know how to read either. Thankfully, this movie also had a dub, which is great. Which is cool. We got a kind of a release simultaneously of sub and dub for this film.
Yeah.
But in case you didn't read the disclaimer, we are going to be talking about the sequel movie to Made in Abyss.
Dawn of the Deep Soul.
Thank you, Cinerex.
You know, it's always like you always think it's like Dawn, Soul, something like
I was
vague,
like Dawn, Twilight, Princess, your name,
Dawn,
kind
Princess
Yeah.
Dawn. Yeah, it's like some like
Princess
vague.
Dawn, Dawn of the Dead with you.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a vague,
And Knuckles.
grandiose title that like makes sense in the context of the film, but without it, you're just like Dawn of Souls in the Abyss, something in the Abyss.
Something. Where's the article? Where are the articles? What is Made in Abyss? What is it not Made in the Abyss? You know,
No, that's too many words. We don't need that.
it's too many words. We don't. You know what we do need? That's right. To let the people know that this is about the sequel film that came out, released by Sentai Filmworks, and so we are going to be talking a shit ton about spoilers, not just for the TV series that came out beforehand, but also this movie. But at the beginning, we're going to talk a
Speaking
little
of the
bit
TV
about
series that came out,
Ooh.
we do have an
Yes.
episode about the TV series. So if
We
people
do.
haven't seen that one,
Go peep.
then you should go back. Maz and I were both on that. I don't believe either of the two of you were, or were you, Tay?
I think I was, but you know,
Okay.
I'm such a boomer now that I don't even
Yeah.
remember
So,
what I ate for breakfast this morning.
We've already talked about
Yeah.
the show itself, so we're not going to linger on that too much. If you want to hear our thoughts on that, you can go back and catch that episode. Otherwise, we are mostly going to be focusing on the movie.
Exactly.
Made
so,
in Abyss is really good, though, so you should watch it.
That's true.
and you can watch it on High Dive too, which is awesome.
That is impressive.
So, not only can you watch all 12 episodes there, but in
13.
case you... Oh, 13, sorry. All 13 episodes there, but in case you just want to speed run through it, you can watch the recap movies. And I've seen the recap movies. They do a pretty good job. I actually really like the second recap movie. I feel like it did a really good job of covering the second half of the show in a really condensed and moving format. I actually really liked the second recap movie, which I can't say for every recap movie I've seen.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So in case, you know, you saw Made in Abyss in 2016 and haven't thought about it since, and you kind of want to get a refresher before seeing it, you can go watch the two recap movies before watching this sequel film.
Yo, I
2017.
definitely should have done that.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack as you go down the abyss. But before we get into the super spoilery stuff, let's talk about the things that we were expecting from this film going into it. So let's start off with you, Senra. So because, you know, you just talked about how you should have seen the recap movies that are available on High Dive. But since you didn't, what were kind of your thoughts about going into this movie, and what were your impressions from 4 years ago with Made in Abyss?
So I definitely had to pause the movie several times in like the first 30 minutes to like look up the different layers of the abyss and figure out where they were and everything. Remind myself what the deal is with the different colors of whistles and all that. I think that my biggest takeaway from this movie is that now Made in Abyss is actually as good as everyone has always said it is.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah. Which is not to say that I didn't like the TV show, because I definitely did. But I felt like the way people always talked about how intense and how dark and how emotional it is, that didn't really come through in the show itself. And it's now that we've gotten like a big climax that I was really feeling that. So I love this movie. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. It was all of like the culmination of all the build-up and the mysteries from the show itself that didn't really get the final payoff I wanted. And I'm super fucking pumped to see what happens next. It's all downhill from here.
Literally.
Hey, literally. Man. Yeah, it was crazy, especially coming, because everyone does talk about how gritty and dark the TV show is, but it doesn't really feel like it gets to that point until you get to the spiky lion thing.
And that's in episode 10. And that's like, so it's, 10 out of 13 episodes. Like, it really doesn't happen until, like, very much close to the end.
Right. Yeah, and like, Nana-Chi introduced at that point, too.
Yeah.
And, like, her scenes with her backstory and Mitty and everything are good, but I felt like in the show we didn't spend quite enough time with her for me to really start caring. But this movie does a great job of developing her. I really like how it keeps, like, her memory of Mitty alive and makes that a big part of her motivations in a very tangible way. It doesn't just, like, brush the past events under the rug and say, like, okay, now she's with the group, so we're just going to worry about the group now.
Yeah.
I really, really love what they did with Nana-Chi.
Yeah. Yeah, and they revealed a lot about her, so...
Oh, gosh,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I was really hoping to get more out of Nana-Chi, too, because I felt like her and Mitty, it felt like they were just scratching the surface with Bondrewd, aka Bone Daddy.
Yeah.
In the final kind of episodes of Made in Abyss, the TV series. And people had talked so much about the next arc leading up to it that I was like, okay, like, I can't wait to dive deeper into this. Like, this is going to be so much fun. I just want to take a plunge into this story and to these characters already. And really, like, unpack.
Really dig deep.
Really dig deep, thank you. And, like, really scavenge through all the remains of their characters and also my sanity. Because that Mitty stuff really broke me in the TV series. And so when I was going into this, I was like, okay, like, how... like, dark is this gonna be?
Yeah. Oh,
And I
when
remember-
we're like 5 minutes into the movie and we see like the bug
flesh-eating
larvae
bug?
like crawling out of that guy's eyes. I was like, all right, we're in the shit now.
Yo, and I'm like, yo, we're starting off with this?
Yeah.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Like, it really was, like, the brightest spot of this film.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
the bugs that eat you alive and then feed themselves to you to keep you alive a little longer, just so that they can maximize the resources they can get out of your body. So how about you, Shaw? So you had read the manga before this, right? I want to say.
Yeah.
So, like, what were your expectations coming from the TV show and as a bit of a source reader going into this film?
So I think I picked up the manga after episode 10, which is the really fucked up scene where Riku's arm gets it gets broken. And that's when everyone's like, oh, it was so dark, it was so tough. So I'm like, okay, let's read this. So then I read for the rest of the content that the anime covers, and then I read the content that's in the movie that we just saw. And this was about 4 years ago, right after... Well, maybe it was 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago, because this came out in 2000... The original show came out in 2017. So I read it all then, and I was like, yo, this is some shit. And I really liked this arc, and I knew that this was when, the rumbling of scientific triumph would come through in the form of Bone Daddy. And because I knew him as the meme, I low-key, forgot his name for 4 years. I've just called him Bone Daddy every time. So it's nice to get a reminder of his actual name, Bondrewd. That's his actual name, but I will continue to call him Bone Daddy out of habit. So
it's such a great nickname.
It is.
It really
it's
is.
It's really everything you need to know about him in a character, in a nickname. So, I knew that this would be super fucked up, but it had been a while, so I forgot how fucked up. But, I mean, I knew back then, I remember, I think it was the end of 2017 when, the TV series had finished and Made in Abyss was kind of winning all the awards. Like, it won Anime of the Year, and then I think it won... Best Antagonist, and everyone was like, oh, but, Bone Daddy didn't even do anything, and I was like,
He won Best Antagonist and he hadn't even appeared in the show.
Yeah, and,
He went Best Antagonist?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and I was like,
I'm pretty sure.
on one hand, I think a lot of that was definitely built upon what happens in this arc, but then on the other hand, I knew that, what he did in the show was kind of enough to be worthy of Best Antagonist in my book. But anyway, my opinion was colored from the events of this arc. So, reading it, the manga is a bit of a different experience, but it still has good arc. It does good arc. Thank you. This arc is good. The art is good. You don't have the music, which definitely adds a lot to it, but I knew that this would be an amazing experience if they adapted it well, and they really adapted it well, so I was just like, yeah. I mean, I knew it was coming, but it was still pretty fucked up seeing everything that happened. And, you know, I still had the same conflicted emotions during some of the intense scenes we'll probably get to later that, you know, it felt essentially the same way in the manga that I did in the anime, so it was pretty great to see it come to life, especially after so many years.
We stand a good adaptation.
We do.
We do.
Hard to
We
come by.
stand things coming to life.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Moz, how about you? What was your anticipation coming into this film?
Well, I absolutely love Made in Abyss. I gave it a 10 out of 10 when it first aired. And because of that, like, I didn't really need this movie to do anything different from the TV series. It could just kind of coast on what it was already doing. So I was expecting, you know, the intensity and the wonder of the Abyss, along with like the beauty of it, but also the absolutely terrifying things about it. And of course, you know, focus on Bondrewd and more about Nanachi. So I guess in a way, like, I kind of got what I wanted out of the Abyss already, and now this movie was about, like, the characters. Like, what is, like, you know, what's this relationship with Bondrewd and Nanachi and stuff, like, like, who is Bondrewd and what does he do, and things like that. And I think that this movie totally delivered, because, yeah, like you guys have said, Bondrewd is a really cool villain, and they did a good job of fleshing out Nanachi more.
I think that's a really good distinction you made that I could see being, you know, hit or miss for people depending on if they enjoyed the TV series or the movie more, is that I feel like the TV series definitely focused a lot more on the Abyss as a setting more, whereas this movie definitely focused on the characters a lot more, with the Abyss as kind of like a background part.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, this was like just kind of like a pit stop on the adventure that they're having, because they even said that they weren't really going to do anything in this layer. They were just going to pass through. So they kind of throw in this stuff in the first 15-20 minutes as like you know, here's some more random stuff about the Abyss.
Yeah
That's a really good distinction to make, because I definitely felt after the TV show that, like, I was really invested in the mysteries and like the Abyss as a setting and what was happening in it, but I liked the characters, but didn't really care about them that much. But after this movie, I'm much more invested in them as people than I was before, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Fate, what were you looking forward to with this film? Like, what were you thinking before you hit play on this film?
Mostly I was just thinking that I really wanted this to live up to the expectations I had of this film before finishing it. Like, the fact that I had really enjoyed the film or the TV series. Like, it was to the point where, like, I didn't expect to have liked it so much at first, because it was one of those TV shows where I think the beginning doesn't quite sell me on it. It was like, oh, like, is this actually that good? Like, because I think I didn't watch it immediately, because back then it wasn't on my favorite anime streaming service in High Dive, but rather it was on Amazon. And it was a pain in the ass to try and watch airing.
It was that anime strike thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day.
That forced me on an anime strike.
That's how old this is. It was anime strike days.
Yo, only real OGs will remember.
That was the dark age of anime streaming.
It really was, though. Like, when, like, no cap. Like, that was a real dark time in anime. But I just remember being, like, overwhelmed with how gorgeous the art was at first, and then, like, how dark it got, and how it kind of betrayed my expectations of how it would be. Because at first I was like, oh, this is cute, whatever. And by the, like, towards, like, episode 8, 9, I was like, whatever, like, I guess it really isn't that dark. I guess there's, like, some stuff with, like, people's corpses and things, but, you know, it's, like, a children's thing. These are children. Riko's a child. Reg is, like, a child robot. Whatever. Like, you know, it's not gonna be that, like, horrifying or whatever. And then you get hit with episode 10, and then you get hit with the rest of Made in Abyss. I was like, oh my gosh, I just got blown away. I sobbed during the Mitty scene with the incinerator in the TV series, and I was just like, but then I kind of forgot about Made in Abyss. It wasn't one of those anime that like really made me want to rewatch it. Kind of partially because it was so heavy.
Yeah.
It's not exactly something. It's like heavy and depressing, but not quite in the way Ava is, where Ava makes me like question my humanity and makes me want to like rethink while I'm like chugging a shot of depresso. Made in Abyss is just like depresso without like really much of the philosophical stuff.
Well, if you want, we can dig a hole, throw you in the hole, and then you can see how philosophical it gets, and you'll be like, it really makes you feel like you're made in Abyss.
Oh my god, wait, yes, we should do that. Go die. Telling someone to go die in a ditch has a completely different meaning now.
Wait a
really makes
second.
you think.
I just had a thought. Do you think the reason why it's made in Abyss and not like made in the Abyss, it's supposed to be like maiden, like
like a maiden voyage?
or like a maiden voyage, or like what's your name? Rico is like the maiden.
Oh.
Well, I actually thought it was like, I also took it as because Rico was born in the Abyss, that she was made in
also
Abyss.
that.
Exactly.
Yeah, double
Right.
meaning to it.
Wow.
So
Double meaning across.
see, look,
the
it's so philosophical. Look, we thought so many things.
Man, yo, Plato could never. Plato only thought about like a cave, but this is an abyss,
Yeah,
yo.
he would never.
He would never. Plato could never. My goat. But then I also watched the second recap movie at Ascent last year. Thanks to Sentai Filmworks for bringing that out. That was an awesome experience getting to see that on the big screen there. And that film really kind of made me think about this show a lot more in this setting and how fucked up it was. And I haven't seen a lot of like horror movie type anime or really like anything like that. I'm not usually a big fan of horror, so like in the back of my mind I was like, is Made in Abyss or like Psychopaths the most fucked up thing I've seen? What like where they do the most fucked up thing to people? It was like kind of a debate. So I was watching this to try and see if it would settle the debate, and like about 10 minutes in, the debate was settled, and then it really settled the debate for the other hour and a half of this film. So I was just wanting like something that was, the music was good, I wanted something dark, but I honestly kind of forgot that what made in Abyss so emotionally heart-wrenching that made it so horrific to me was that it was so emotionally heart-wrenching. There was emotion behind it, there was character behind it, and I kind of forgot that was what tied it all together for me. So I was really pleasantly surprised to remember that and to see that being built off so well in the sequel film. And so without further ado, I want to give a shout out to Sentai Filmworks again for giving us screeners to watch this film. I actually watched it again because I was like, look, the screener was great, but like I want to rewatch this film just because it was so good. So I had it on in the background yesterday while I was watching after it came out. And boy, if you have not seen this, first of all, like the fact that we can see this during a pandemic and not have to wait until like Blu-rays or any of that, like we can watch it through a quote unquote virtual screening is awesome. Because like, Cinemas, we're waiting for Heaven's Feel Part 3 and we don't know when that's ever gonna get to,
I know. It's so painful knowing that it's out and I can't watch it.
Yeah.
Right, and like we're gonna have to wait so long. Like Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0, that also has been delayed. So the fact that like they were able to deliver this movie to our screens during a pandemic so that, none of us, like if you lived in a place that was like social distancing and like maybe you had your own private theater, maybe you could go see in the theaters while being safe. But for people who are high risk or want to stay in and like be insulated and stay as safe as possible, having the option to watch it at home was really awesome, subbed or dubbed too. And so like I feel like it was a really awesome marketing move and a great reach for people. And honestly, I really hope that we can have more of this because this was an awesome experience.
To be fair,
and I'm really glad we were able to do it.
To be fair, we did actually have to wait extra for this movie to come out because in Japan it came out before COVID broke out.
It was out in January.
And it was supposed to come out in the U.S. in like March
in
or
May
April.
or something.
I had the tickets.
Okay, May. Yeah.
Yeah,
I did too.
Yeah. So
We were so hyped to go see it.
yeah, I mean, I'm just so glad that they let us see it, even just at home. Like, it was so cool to see it. You know, you get rent it. You essentially get to rent it for 24 hours and get to see it to your heart's content. So, I mean, I thought it was really great. I really hope that this kind of becomes the norm in the future because, you know, we're all mostly...
Can you imagine? That would be so nice.
It would be so great
would be.
because, I mean, we're mostly lucky that we live near theaters that are showing anime films, but there's so many people out there who do not have movie theaters that are showing anime films even for like a day. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
so I hope this
Remember
helps.
how like botched the Your Name viewing was, where like there were tons of cities that just or states that just didn't have repeated showings of Your Name, and so people were like, "What? Like I gotta travel like through 3 states to go see this if I want to see this in theaters."
Exactly. Yeah, so it's like, you know, hopefully this will fix a problem and then, you know, support the industry more while giving people more opportunities to see anime films. Because there's definitely a market for it, and I'm hoping this, you know, proves that this... What am I trying to say? I'm hoping that this proves that this works out well.
Yes.
Yes.
And you know, like the price tag, like if you're just watching by yourself, the price tag's a little expensive. Maybe not if you live in New York. It's probably around the same. Honestly, $20 for a movie, New York City.
But
gotta love this overpriced city. But like, if you're watching with like 2 people, already that's like then it becomes $10 a pop, and that's roughly around what a movie ticket is. And if you get a, you know,
That's
if
cheaper
you're
than
living
any
with,
movie
like-
ticket I've ever seen.
and if you
Right?
watch,
Yeah.
and you can watch it twice, you know, because you have it for 24
right.
hours. So if you watch it
Yeah.
twice, you're already, you know, more than doubling your experience.
Right.
And when
your
you're at a
paycheck.
movie theater, like you can't like pause and look up what each level stands for.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which is necessary. I had to look that up too.
What's the curse for going from the fourth to the fifth from the fourth letters?
That one was where you start bleeding out of every orifice, I think.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
correct.
That's a bleeding one. And then this one is where you lose all sense of pain or sense of
Yes.
self, which is just like,
Yes.
you know, maybe
Yo, that was trippy.
Yo, that
fam.
scene was
literal
so good.
trippy. Literally trippy.
That was a great scene. Oh my god. I was like, man, this is why people take acid. And then she's like all cut up and like they're like, oh, like you lost your teeth. I was like, oh, this is why people shouldn't take acid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
It's
ground
like when
her
you go to the
teeth so
dentist-
hard they cracked. Yeah,
Oh
that was.
man.
when you go to the dentist and
Good.
they're like, don't bite down too hard or whatever, because like your mouth is numb, so you might like bite your tongue too hard and you won't even know, and it freaks you out because you're
Yeah.
like, oh my god, I don't know, and then that's probably
I
how
remember
this
when I
felt
had like I had like a tooth taken out once, and then like they numbed my cheek, and I was like chewing on it. I was
no.
like, man, I don't feel anything
like,
from this.
literally
and then,
what
like,
happened.
once the pain wear off, I was like, oh my god, it's a bloody pulpy mess. I should never have done this.
Bro,
Don't let me.
why'd you make it real? No, like this actually happens. Well, I feel like we're essentially there. Should we just jump right into the abyss and start talking about
Yeah.
this movie?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this.
So let's start up with that opening scene, because we touched on it before. Like, how crazy is it to start off with the flesh-eating larva scene?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that really set the tone
I
for
feel
the
like
series.
that's almost like a microcosm of like this entire movie.
Yeah.
Like you could just kind of summarize the themes of this movie in that one scene.
So
It was kind of a microcosm of like the entire abyss, where the setting is really beautiful and it's really cool, and it's like, wow, this is a nice place. But then you find out like what it is, and it's like, okay, well, I don't ever want to go there.
Yeah, like wait, fuck this. I don't like these anymore.
yeah,
You know those questions where it's like, which world, anime world, would you like to live
Yeah.
in? Made in Abyss is like constantly trying to be last on that list.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that whole scene is just like a nice example of like, you know, I really don't want this, and as gorgeous as it is, you know, like torch the whole place, do it, like destroy all of this right now.
what I thought was really interesting about that scene is that it seemed at first like it was almost kind of underwhelming purely because like that location has been such a repeated like image in the show. Like how many times did we see the flashback of like Liza standing at the top of the hill, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then we got there and like nothing important really happened there. Which I thought was surprising. Like I was kind of shocked that they were starting the movie with the field, because I thought that was going to be like a big deal TM.
Yeah.
But then, like, by the end, like, all of the shots of the field burning and everything are so beautiful. It was an incredibly striking scene.
Yeah.
It was crazy too, just because like in the way that it was a microcosm of the film too, because you have like the dude who's like an Umbra hand who's part of Bondrewd, and you're like, oh, like, is he gonna do anything to them? Is he gonna like fuck them over? Is he gonna be like the big bag antagonist? And he's just like, yo, calm down, like, you don't want to get infested by these.
Yeah,
it's too late. Like, you guys gotta go. Don't worry, like, we're waiting for you. Like, I'm not gonna do anything, but like,
come chill.
This was supposed to be off limits, so like, you guys don't die to this.
And he
so
even
like,
gives them their weapon back. Like, they dropped their weapon, and he gave it back to them. So this dude was like a top 5 most helpful person they've run into in the Abyss already.
Oh, wait, that was something I couldn't remember from the show.
Yeah, Loki, I forgot about that too.
Yeah, what happened with
I think
the
that's
weapon?
her mom's. I think that's her mom's big axe
it's her
thing,
mom's.
and like
it's her
she
mom's
probably
big axe. But when did they lose it?
They lost it when they fought the spiky dude.
Yeah,
the
I just
spiky
figured
lion.
they
Oh,
lost
okay.
it then.
Okay,
Yeah, so
okay,
I think
okay.
they dropped it, and then I guess that dude found it or whatever. So I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, like, and it just really fucks with your expectation because you think he's gonna be like a normal villain with like evil henchmen.
Yeah.
But he's just like very almost. He's just like there. He's just like a dude. He's just like whatever. They're like, yo, like, watch out for yourself, man. Like, don't talk to so loud. Don't startle them. You don't want to wake up the bugs.
So
that'd be pretty bad for everyone.
Where I thought the movie was going to go with Bondrewd was that once he was like, yeah, you need a white whistle in order to get down, I thought he was going to be like, oh, you're trying to get to the 6th level? Like, yeah, no problem. I'll let you down, but I have to come with you.
Oh, that would be interesting.
And I thought that was going to be the whole thing, was they were going to have to, like, sort of work together with him while also figuring out, like, what his obvious, like,
scheme,
devious plan.
Yeah, evil hidden motive was.
I thought so too. I was like, what is his hidden motive? It's like, what is he trying to do? Why is he being so nice to them? What is going on here, fam? Why is he like, what's happening? He's supposed to be like super evil. He like fucked up like Nanachi and Mitty so bad. Like,
yeah.
And then you kind of get the like false sense of security that like, well, he's done his experiments. Maybe he's good. You know, like maybe he got what he wanted out of them.
They did actually trick me. Like, I really thought that he was like, that he was going to be, you know, I knew he was the bad guy.
Yeah.
But when he's talking to Nanachi and she's like, yeah, I'll work for you again, just like let these two go, and he's like, oh, whoops.
When he literally said
that is really
lucky.
that actually like really took me by surprise.
Whoops. Like he literally is like oopsie. Like, can you believe that? It's like, are you kidding me with that shit? Like, whoops.
It's one of those things where, like, you would expect that to be a meme answer, but he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
I think that the subs are something like, I'm afraid I've done something regrettable.
Yeah, he's like, oh gosh,
yeah, like, talk about that as an understatement. I think I did something regrettable. Yeah, I would agree.
It's like, oh, if you had just told me a little earlier, but like, the timing just didn't work out. You know, I'm already like torturing your friend and like cutting him open.
Oh shit, Nanachi, my bad.
So
my bad, dude.
If you have any other like, you know, like qualifications or like stuff you want to get through, like I'm more than happy to. But that's a bridge too far. Like we can't undo that, fam. Like this is too.
What did he say? It's most regrettable that I can't return him to his original form, but I can fix him up in a most adorable fashion. Like, I think that's what he said.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, what? And you almost want to be like, okay, dude, fix him up. And then you're like, no, don't fix him up. Get the fuck out of here.
Jeez. What really fucked me up was Prushka. And I was like, who is this tiny child? Because she's teased
Who is this small, annoying child? It's like the Saitama when he's pointing at the other chick. It's like that baby.
Oh, yeah, Fubuki, yeah. But I was like, I was like, because she's teased at the end of the second recap movie where he's like, oh, like Mitty's the soul light went out. He's like, oh, good for you, Mitty. You were able to pass on. I'm happy for you. I'm like, no, you're not. But maybe he genuinely was. But no, you shouldn't be allowed to be happy for her. But like, you know, like Prushka's there and she's very cute and very adorable. And I'm like, fuck, what's going on here? Anyway, before we get too into it, I also want to throw up my headcanon for Sinris's score for this film, which is that, Sinris, before you say anything, I want to say that you probably hated Prushka, and the only redeeming aspect for this film was what happened to Prushka.
I didn't like Prushka. I didn't like Prushka at first, but she did grow on me.
So it still stands. You were right. You were right.
Yeah, like you actually just wanted to see her suffer. I see how you only liked her when she started suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's not my kind of character.
She's too happy.
She's too, yeah, like actually.
I knew it. Yeah.
Man.
So, did you guys? I'm curious because I think when I read it, I just didn't have any thoughts. I was like, cleared my mind, no expectations. When they have the scene of like, Riku wakes up and she doesn't see anything. What were you guys thinking? Like, you knew where Nanachi was. Where did you guys think Reg was?
Oh man, I thought like Reg was like sleuthing around.
Yeah.
I assumed something bad had happened, but I didn't really have any specific thing in mind.
Yeah. Maz, did you have
same.
anything? Okay, yeah.
Same as...
Yeah, so then, so I think they do it slightly different in the manga. I just reread the chapter the other day, and they don't actually show that scene of Nanachi. So, when they go to sleep and they wake up, and Riku is the only one awake, so you don't see Nanachi or
Is it
Reg.
Riko? It's Riko, right? No, Riku.
Why am I calling her Riku? Riko, yeah.
I don't know.
why I'm doing that. So Rico, wakes...
No you.
Yeah, no you. So when Rico wakes up, there's, no one around her, so you have no idea where, anyone is.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's, pretty obvious, okay, shit's going on with Regu. He's not there. But, how do you guys feel about that scene of them, just operating on him and it being really fucked up?
What a way to set that up.
How do you guys feel about it?
How did you guys think about that really fucked up
What do you guys feel
scene?
about the fucked up scene? First one, oh no, I guess it's the second one. It's the second instance of fuckery in the series. Oh, in the movies thus far. We had more fuckery in the series.
That's a good question.
Initial thoughts, you saw this and you're like, what is going through your mind?
I think that's one of those scenes where for me it's I wasn't able to be super upset about it because it's the kind of thing where they're going so hard on a main character that you kind of know they can't go any harder.
Bro, I'm how are you thinking that many thoughts? How are you planning ahead of how much they're gonna fuck him up? I know what you mean.
It's all right, he's not gonna die, right?
Yeah, well,
and every once in a while you think that and you're wrong, but that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
But it was a creepy ass scene for sure. Especially once Prushka shows up and she's like, "What the fuck are you guys doing? Get away from him!" And they're like, "You've come. Sit. Come to the chair." And it zooms in on the bloodstained chair and everything. That was the part of the scene that really fucked with me.
Oh my god, yeah, that was a really fucky scene. Yeah. That was...
I guess
that was something.
I guess to be more specific to Shaw's question, here's what was going through my head.
Oh my god. Yo, that was so much... Oh my god, when they were he's he bleeds just like a normal person.
But it was not normal blood. Here. But it was blood, but not normal blood. Which is
And they're this is having a little bit of resistance. Why don't we break out the chainsaw? But it wasn't a chainsaw. It was
what is that? And that's the weird thing that one of the relics that he has, the super strong light, and you're how about we not? How about we just don't saw off his arm? Let's just not do that.
Apparently not. Apparently that wasn't an option.
Yeah.
Peace was never an option. Only pieces.
Yeah.
They gave him a catheter. There was no turning back from there.
Yo, that's one of those things that I feel is a very I don't know how to say this. It's like a very Made in Abyss, almost like TMI, where like it makes it makes so much sense in the scene that they're being like so scientific down to the T, but at the same time, you know that like no other series would really think of going that far. So you're kind of like,
totally.
Bro, like, do we really need to go there? And then you're like, okay, it makes sense, but still, did we really need to go there? That's how I come away from like a lot of those scenes where it's like, why is pee involved? Why are we doing that?
Oh, and the fact that they like, oh god, where they talked about his penis.
Yeah.
And Prishka was like, oh, like his papa pole. I was like,
God,
That was not okay.
That happened during like such an intense scene, and I'm like, okay, this like makes sense for kids, but also why? But why?
Yeah, like, did this need to happen?
Yeah. And
I'm kind of glad that I didn't see this in a movie theater because I didn't want to be arrested afterwards.
Yeah.
and
yes, Officer Me, right here.
Yeah. It's like,
Hey,
it's one of
I'm
those
calling
things
to
that...
report a crime. I watched something I shouldn't have.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to click
Take
this.
me, Bone Daddy.
No, don't even say that. We avoided saying that.
Definition of bone daddy.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like,
Well, man.
I think people have like really polarized opinions on that. Like some view that as kind of like taking, I guess it's, I don't know what even to call that type of joke, but it's like very like uncomfortable. But it is, I do feel like it is something like kids would say. Like it does feel authentic to children, so I'm not bothered by it too much besides the, you know, TMI-ness of it.
Right.
Yeah, but so that whole thing was weird, like, very weird and fucked up. But then, gotta love Regu, like, he's still putting the team on his back after getting his arm cut off to then, like, use the other arm to get Riku and Prushka out of the way.
Out of there. Oh
What
my
an
god.
MVP. He's probably MVP of the movie, right?
I mean, he's MVP of the
I
whole
think
team.
Nanachi's MVP of the movie.
Oh my god, wait. The fact when they're like, oh my god, Nanachi's scene where she's like, I've committed war crimes.
Yeah, oh
She's
god,
like,
yeah. When they're in the room with all the,
Yeah.
what are they called, the canisters?
And she's like,
The cartridges.
Cartridges. Yeah, that's
and
it.
she's explaining what happens, and Rico's like, why do you know what happened? She's like, cause I was there. I
made all of these.
She lured them in.
I contributed.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, she was like, oh, I was so cute and fluffy that I like made them lower their guards and made them affectionate towards Bondrewd, and then you fucked them up. I was there. I was complicit in the war crimes. I'm like, fam, what the fuck? That's so messed. Oh my god, that was so messed up. And she's like, you really got the feeling that she like felt like she could never forgive herself for that. And like, you know, how could you really like? How many, like, you almost want to say, how many hundreds of kids do you think, like, Bondrewd went through?
How many?
It was
How many
just-
breads have you eaten?
How many kids have you made in your life? Made in Abyss Part 1.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that's why it's
was-
like,
uh-huh.
it's like added like mixed feelings for her because she obviously hates him for what he did to Mitty and herself, but it's also like, she feels complicit, as you said, so... It's like so much hatred wrapped up into one.
I was reading a thing where someone said, like, it was a really, like disturbing, but, like, kind of almost authentic or honest view of, like, how abuse victims can, like, be, like, drawn back to or, like, complicit to their abusers.
Yeah.
And people who
Definitely.
manipulated them.
Definitely.
Because they're just so broken, and it's like they, you know, they are a victim of abuse, and they lose their willpower, and they just feel like they are in the wrong for what happened. And Nanachi, no, like, you were not in the wrong for what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
like,
for sure.
But like it's this whole thing that she has to go through, and man, Bondrewd, the fact that like. What a character!
He's a
Bondrewd
great
is.
character.
You know, you talk about like Regu being the MVP, Nanachi the MVP. Honestly, if Bondrewd wasn't who he is, this movie, I feel like he's the MVP for
Oh,
this.
yeah.
He's what makes
He's
this movie.
Oh, yeah.
He's
totally.
the character MVP of like the series thus far.
Yeah.
So yeah, big ups to Bone Daddy for, you know, kind of carrying the intrigues thus far as a character. And you know he's a big deal because they marketed the movie with him. You know, like
yeah, right.
imagine the power of a character where you market someone who hasn't appeared thus far.
Yeah.
Like, that's the power of Bone Daddy.
The only thing we've seen of him were through flashbacks.
Yes.
And like We kind of did get a taste of his character back then.
Yeah.
When they're like, when he was like, "Oh, Nanachi, by the way, we've been performing some experiments with your friend Mitty. She hasn't died despite our best efforts.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful, actually."
Subarashi.
Subarashi.
Look how she squirms on the ground. She's still alive. You know, we've done everything we can to try and kill her, but you know, like everything we do, she keeps living. Kind of amazing, don't you think? And Nanachi's like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?"
Yeah.
And you know, and that's really the only glimpse of Bondrewd we get of his character, and it's authentic. He's consistent the whole way through. You keep thinking he's going to be like he's gonna be like two-faced, or he's manipulating us, or like there's something else behind him. But no, in fact, his act is who he is. He's a very honest person.
Might you say that
honest
he's
being.
genuine?
Oh my god, I want the genuine articles in my war criminal experimental abuser is not as I expected.
Rumbling of scientific triumph is not how I expected.
my scientific triumph snafu.
Yeah.
Ooh, wait, that's actually good. That actually works. Let's go with that.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, but
or I got science foo. Or I got science triumph, scientific triumph.
But yeah, I think that's a
But yeah.
cool thing about Bondrewd is how at the end of the first season and at the beginning of this movie, I think they really put it in your head that Bondrewd is supposed to be like this super evil villain, and that, you know, Nanachi is always playing it up like, oh, we gotta, like, I mean, we're gonna have to confront Bondrewd eventually, but we should, like, aside from, you know, when it's absolutely necessary, we should avoid him at all costs and things like that. So
Right.
seeing the way he actually is, it's like, there's a lot of nuance to this character.
Yeah.
yeah, I like him as just like a straight up genuine take on what it means to put scientific discovery ahead of everything. And
Right.
I think it's really cool to see, because you always see it kind of, you know, you see it in fiction, but you never really see someone take it this far. And it's cool to see that, you know, he really does put his money where his mouth is, because he sacrificed his own body to make his own white whistle. So you know he's not above sacrificing anything for the sake of scientific progress.
Yeah,
And
totally.
I'm not sure if they make it super duper clear. Like, they don't explicitly say it, at least in the movie, but when I was going back and checking out the manga, they make it, like, very clear that the opinion of him from the other cave dwellers is that, you know, they fear him, but they are so grateful for his discoveries because he set up a base there, and, like, the diving to the next level would not be possible without his work, essentially. So, like, you know, they always bring up, like, yeah, he's, like, kind of terrible and, like, the worst person of all time, but he's brilliant, and we wouldn't have made the, you know, we wouldn't have the achievements we did, or wouldn't have made the strives in cave dwelling without him. So, like,
Right.
he is very crucial to this entire community.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's crazy because I kept waiting for him to be like, to get like really angry, to do something irrational, to really like lose his sense and be like, have that quote unquote villain moment. But the whole time, oh man, when he's like, oh, like, when he starts naming the cartridge, and he's like, oh, like, whatever her name was, she wanted to be a princess.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's really cute? I'm like, yo, this guy means
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
like-
that, like, one of, you know, the big themes of the series is about how the Abyss kind of, it takes people in both, like, physically and mentally. You know, you kind of like, you lose yourself in the Abyss. I think that Bondrewd is a great example of that, because we kind of see through this movie, despite everything, he never really comes off as like a bad dude, you know?
Yeah.
He really honestly feels like he's not malicious at all. He just values his research into the Abyss more than anything else.
Yeah, like, you never get any sense of malice from him, which is very strange. Like, he's
Right.
doing all of these terrible things to people around him, but he never actually expresses a negative emotion towards them, even after they're trying to kill him for like half the film.
Yeah.
And there's that one line of like, you know, Regu is crying because he realizes that Priska has been turned into a cartridge, and he's like, how could you do something so terrible for someone who cares about you so much? And then Bone Daddy was like, oh yeah, that's a really strange thing to tell someone you're trying to kill. And
Yeah,
it's like
right?
it's such a...
It's like the protagonists are almost the hypocrites now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like such a strange thing because it's like, they're trying to kill him for their survival and also to go through, but like, that's also why he's killing people.
Right.
Yeah.
It was so crazy. And the fact that, like, each time it felt like he really just had their best intentions at heart. Like, he really just wanted to be like, oh, like when they trap him with the beasts.
That scorpion
he's
things?
like, oh, yeah, he was like, oh, I wanted to reach out to you so that you know, I noticed the beasts were there and I didn't want
wanted
you
to
get hurt.
warn you about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I can't believe that, like, you know, you did that on purpose. That's really interesting.
Subarashi.
Subarashi.
Yeah, you keep saying that so
He's
much. It's so
Subarashi.
catchy.
It almost makes you wonder, like, after the scene where they get Reg out of, like, the surgery chamber, or whatever you want to call it, like, if at that point they had just been like, all right, we got him back, now, like, let's just go down. Like, what do you think Bone Daddy would have been like, yeah, okay, I'll send you down now?
I think
If they had done that instead of, like, being like, this place is fucked up and running out and then starting trying to kill him.
I mean, like, literally in the sense of the show, they couldn't because they didn't have a white whistle at the time. But I think
he said that he would let them down.
no, he said he couldn't let them down because
Yeah, because they were like, you don't have a white whistle, and the only way you can go down is with a white whistle, and the only way you can get a white whistle is through the life reverberating stone,
Yeah.
which is, by the way,
Oh,
a
that's
human
right.
person.
That's right. Yeah.
yeah, and they
In
didn't
case you
really
didn't know.
they didn't reveal all this information at the time, but I think it was kind of like the idea was they would kind of talk about this later, like Nanachi said. But I mean, I think
No, you're correct. I forgot.
if all things considered, they had a white whistle, they were, you know, all things were equal, would he have let them down? I think he would have. But it's kind of like, you know, since you don't have a white whistle and you're staying at my place, yeah, we're going to operate on the robot kid. Like, I think that's kind of like his vibe is, you know, I think it started from curiosity, and he would also just let them go down because he has no reason to really stop them. Yeah. And then, but since they are stopped, he has enough reason to operate on them and, you know, use them as test subjects. And then after, you know, they spent so much time trying to kill him and prove their worth, I think he came to respect that their desire to go on their adventure is so much, I guess, stronger than his at the time, that, you know, now they've kind of like earned his respect. So they're like, yeah, he's like, yeah, now I'll follow your journey down, because he has that one artifact that lets him view Nanachi wherever she is.
Right.
Mm-hmm. See whatever Nanachi is seeing.
Yeah, so now he's like cheering them on in a weird way, like, you guys go on your cool adventure and I will follow you.
It's more valuable. It's more worth it if you know,
because he can't even go down because he sacrificed his own body.
Yeah, and that's what he was trying to do, I think, was get the perfect body to use the white whistle. Like, I think that's what he was trying to do, is kind of reclaim his body so he would be able to do that and continue his own journey. Which didn't end up working because he's too fucked.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't really put that together.
I had to rewatch it and then kind of think it through, because he mentioned a lot of stuff about, like, well, now that he's like, well, with this body, I should be able to do this. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? I'm still kind of caught up on you, like, operating on Reg 10 minutes ago. Like, I'm still kind of fucked up.
Oh my god. Oh man. Jeez. Like, the Prushka operation scene.
Bruh. Oh, well, there's like,
that broke me.
There's like two, right? So there's like the first one where we know she's going under, and then she has the flashback to Riku, and they kind of pull like a Your Light in April, where, you know, Riku sees her outline kind of fading away, and she wakes up crying. So it's like she knows, but she doesn't fully know. But then,
what
and then
happened?
they show the actual flashback, which is like the most heartwarming but disturbing, you know, backstory.
Because you know she's dying.
You know she's
You're
like,
yeah.
She's dead. And we're getting this heartwarming flashback. And at first I'm like, you know, this isn't really going to work on me because I know she's dead. And then it still kind of works because I'm so like disturbed but also emotionally attached. And
Yeah.
I think it's the most conflicted I've felt in a scene in a while, at least in recent memory, since End of Evangelion with Asuka's fight. Because, and I'm not saying it's not on the same level, I have different feelings for them, but the extreme, like, disturbance versus extreme, emotional attachment I felt at the same time felt like such a pure Made in Abyss feeling, which I've seen it described as, like, the extreme horror matched up with the extreme optimism and hopefulness, and that feels like, kind of Made in Abyss in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Prushka, though.
Prushka.
Poor girl.
Really makes you think. You just don't know. I don't know what it makes you think, but it makes you.
What
really
you thinking about?
Really makes you think.
What does it make you think, Shaw?
Damn.
Damn.
Yeah. What did you guys think of like everything leading up to that? Like they had the really cool scene with Regu fighting and like the cool, when he was kind of going beast mode.
Yeah, that was quite the scene, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, the Sakuga, the animation for that was so cool. It kind of gave me. So I'm not really much of a gamer, but it really gave me like Hollow Knight vibes.
Yeah. Yeah, I played like an hour of Hollow Knight, so I can confirm that's how it felt.
Gamers, we have a Twitch stream. You guys can follow us on twitch.tv/Tokyo.
I played Hollow Knight on our Twitch, yeah.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, so...
Can you teach me how to play?
Yeah, sure.
So what did you think, given that me and Shaw just made these baseless talks?
Does it feel Hollow Knight, or does it not feel Hollow Knight?
It definitely has some things in common with Hollow Knight. Like the whole, like, descending elements and all that.
I think he just meant like the like aesthetic of like Regu in that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like when he's all like dark and shadowy and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Hollow Knight as fuck. Yeah, that's super Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
That's like the whole Hollow Knight sauce.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I really like that. I was impressed by that.
Got a whole Hollow Knight still going.
Yep.
I was impressed by that quite a lot.
It looks really cool.
Yeah, I think the TV series, like, it has really good art and animation, but maybe at times it just doesn't like it's really good at sometimes, but not all the time. And this movie looks really, really good all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It's that movie budget. You gotta love the movie budget. Man, God, it really was so gorgeous to watch. Like the fight scenes were amazing. Oh my God, when Red goes Hollow Knight, that looked really cool.
The fight in like in the pit thing where you're with like all the
the pit where like he goes like
the poor
fucking
unfortunate
Luffy.
The poor unfortunate souls down in the pit.
Yeah, God. Yeah, and then we get the Rumble of Scientific Triumph.
Yeah,
oh my God,
that's track.
So what's the reference exactly that I'm missing with Rumble of Scientific Triumph?
So that was actually a 4chan meme where when 4chan read this section of Made in Abyss, they would kind of meme BoDaddy and call him talk about he's rumbling with Scientific Triumph, and
it was a sound effect. So you know how like manga they have like sound effects to translate like what the sound effect is going on.
Yes.
So it was a rumble, right? It was like a rumble sound effect. But the translators translated it like so it's him arising from the pit with like the tail and everything, like fighting with and they put SFX, the Rumble of Scientific Triumph.
That's awesome.
Another funny sound effect translation was during the Regu operation scene. They had Shota suffering noises.
Oh yeah.
Just like thank you, but I don't know if we need that one.
This is like the origin of like sad lolly noises or something.
Yeah.
So that was it became a 4chan meme, and then Kevin Penkin is a Western composer. So when he's
Australian, I think.
Yeah, he's from Australia. So technically, Western culture, but not really in the West. He's close to Japan. So
it's kind of like Southern.
Yeah, Southern. Yeah, he's around there. So he did he's been on 4chan and obviously saw that meme, but he also did an AMA on our anime where people had brought that up, as well as this 4chan idea that during the scene where Bone Daddy was fighting with the cartridges, that they would have like a child choir in the background. And so that would, and I think the idea was, the idea someone brought up that they should do was like every time he uses one, like a voice goes out each time, which I haven't analyzed the song enough to kind of like...
It doesn't,
I don't think it does that, but there is a child choir in the background of that song while he's using the cartridges. Because
that's cool.
It's really fucked up.
So,
it's, oh my god.
Yeah, so it's so cool that, you know, we have someone who is like engaged in the community, and he had previously seen the 4chan theory ahead of time. Like, he knows so much about the culture and the community, like...
Apparently someone brought it up to him on Twitter.
Yeah, like people people brought it up to him, so he saw those and kind of like wanted to incorporate them and loved the idea. So something like the main song being the rumbling of scientific triumph and having a child choir in the background, like, you know, who knows what if he thought of those ideas ahead of time, but the fact that we know that he had like community input into those is really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I feel like we didn't get to talk about him as much in the Made in Abyss, you know, series discussion, but I think Kevin Penkin is a huge factor in the success of this as an overall franchise. You know, his soundtracks do such a great job of really making you feel like you're in Made in Abyss. I'm sorry, I had to say it. It really makes you feel like you're there.
I mean, this was the series that like really put him on the map.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
This was the first time we really heard about this guy, and it was like, oh my god, like because it was specifically like I always think of the first episode as one of my favorite anime first episodes ever, and it's because of that song that they play kind of as the opening, and I'm just like, okay, like right when you get that vocal like traveling, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah.
And they use what's the one insert song in that first episode at the end too? It begins with an H. I forget the name of it.
Oh, like it's got like a HAV something.
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing because I know if I said it, it would not be the correct pronunciation. But yeah, it's like he has a lot of great insert songs, and then
Hana Zeve Karadina.
Yes, that's the word. Those are the words.
That's what I said.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's what Ma said. Yeah, so that came at the end of the first episode, and that was a big hit. And my favorite song, actually, from the original series is called Tomorrow, and it's the song that plays at the end of the episode when they showed the travel of the balloon going up. And that's probably,
It's a really beautiful track.
That's a great track and a great scene.
Yeah, I'm just...
This tracks.
This track.
Tracks.
I just love that so much. I feel like it perfectly embodies that, you know, the despair but hopeful feeling of the abyss. And, you know, just the way the balloon travels up, the scene is directed so well, but that song really brings it home. And I think... Oh, no, go ahead.
In the manga, doesn't the balloon not make it all the way up?
I think that's the thing, is that in the manga, this balloon scene, like, it's like a panel. Like, a small panel on the entire page, like, you have no idea. And they turned it into a whole big scene as a great send-off for the season. Yeah. So, like, that's really shows, like, how this adaptation thrives, is that, like, they take a small scene like that and turn it into a microcosm of the entire series.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So I really am loving what they're doing with it just everywhere, but I love his soundtrack. It's one of the best soundtracks in anime I've heard, and it just does such a great job of making this feel like a true setting of mystery and wonder. And I think he really brought his A game for the movie as well, you know? Rumbling.
Honestly, like, if you haven't heard I've just had the Rumble of Scientific Triumph on repeat, on loop since I saw this film.
Yes.
Like,
I'll have to like listen to this specifically now, because I remember like the sound effects that Bone Daddy makes, like the boot clanking and everything being really good.
That was like my favorite scene in the whole movie. When Bondrewd and his posse show up, I'm like, okay, this is awesome.
When they first come down the hallway.
Yeah,
that's sick.
If you guys want to know what it sounds like when we join Discord for a call, that's what it looks and sounds like.
the whole squad shows up.
Yes.
It's like, all right. So who's Bone Daddy? Shaw, you can be Bone Daddy.
I don't want to be Bone Daddy. Excuse me.
The Shaw hands.
Shaw hands. Bro, I don't want that blood on my hands, bruh. Hell no.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that was
hands.
so
bruh hands.
But like it's so dissonant. The soundtrack, it's so unsettling.
Yeah.
But it's like also so high, like ba-da-da. Oh man, it goes hard in the paint, fam.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's so much fun. And like it's also so horrific that the fact you're hearing a children's choir like for the theme of Bondrewd.
Yeah. And
Man.
you were like messaging me because Fate was kind of in a state of shock after the film had ended. And he was like, so I'd get like a message like 5 hours later, be like, there's a children's choir in this song.
Yeah, I was just, I really was in a haze after I saw it. I was just like, whoa, what a film.
Because when we all finished it around the same time, we all said, well, that was a movie. And 9 out of 10 times when we say that was a movie or
It's
that
bad,
was an
right?
episode,
Yeah.
it's all bad.
Yeah.
We all mean it's bad. So I'm like, okay, I liked it, but did you guys like it? And Fate's like, oh my god, it was good, but I'm so disturbed and disgusted. I'm like, okay, so this is a good thing. Okay, we move.
Yeah. We all were just like, well,
I
that
finished
was a
it first,
film
and I just
experience.
put in the staff channel like, well, that was a hell of a movie.
Yeah, that was a good movie. And I was like, okay, Sinris is in. Okay.
Yeah.
But I felt like Fate could have gone either way. He either would have been like, this movie is great, or like, there was too much blood and gore. This was mean. I hate this. And I knew moms would like it.
Oh. So like 5 hours after I seen it, I was like, I cannot fucking believe the Rumble of Scientific Tribe has a children's choir.
That's pretty awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
we'll
was
link it.
mad.
I mean, it's really cool in the scene, but I think listening to it on its own really, like, you get to hear everything, and it really brings the scene back to memory.
Yeah.
God. It's such a great fight scene because it's like, it really is like, why are they fighting? Like, what? Because, and that line, I love that line. It's like, that's a weird thing to be saying to someone you're trying to kill. Like, what is Bone Daddy's, like, reasoning for fighting Rego? Is he just trying to, like, keep him down so that he can experiment on it later? Is he just trying to survive because he went through this whole thing of, like, keeping his body and he wants to keep this body? Like, Bondrewd doesn't really have much of a motivation to kill Reg at that moment, while Reg is like trying to fight through vengeance and stuff. And one thing I do want to mention is I felt like in the series, 2 criticisms I saw, and Shaw, you brought this up too, in our conversations, that I saw that I didn't quite believe in was that there weren't enough consequences through through going through the abyss.
I can see how
Rico-
people would think that, but I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
I also don't agree. And that Rico didn't do much in the series.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, like,
But, like, I think that's, like, first of all, I think the Rico thing is patently false.
yeah.
And then the second thing is, Rico, like, loses a lot of stuff with her hand. We saw what Nanachi and Miti had to go through. You see what, it's not, the only reason why it doesn't feel like Rico has lost a lot of stuff is because she's kind of unhinged.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's definitely fucked
Like,
up.
Bone Daddy isn't the only unhinged person
Well,
in
he
this,
says that, too.
series.
Yeah, like, he says, like, yeah, we're more similar than you thought, because it was, like, he and Riku are kind of on the same page. Like, she kind of predicted everything. He's like, oh, look, someone knows what's up. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's a nice thing. That's not a place you want to be.
And I think that's what's interesting about Rico as a character, right? Is that, like, she has just, like, completely lost it, basically. She's not operating on any sense of, like, logic or anything at all. She is entirely just driven by, like, the curse from the box.
Yep. She's just driven
Or-
to get
or
to the
is
bottom
she?
of the abyss.
Who knows?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing, right? Is like, how much of this is free will and how much is this the influence of the abyss?
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes it definitely really interesting to think, like, because they had that scene of her talking to Prushka saying, at first I just wanted to go see my mom, but now I just kind of want to go on this adventure with them. And, and then Prushka says, I think you want to be like your mom and go on this adventure, even if it means, like, you're not necessarily seeing your mom. So she really is driven by this curiosity to get to the bottom of the abyss and find out, who sent that message, who was, who does she think was inviting her down to the bottom of the abyss?
Right.
God, man. Poor Prushka. That's all I can think of.
Bruh sucks, man. Shit
Sometimes you take one on the chin.
She doesn't have a chin. They cut it off.
Oh, I gotta really hand it to you because she also doesn't have hands.
Wait, here's a question. After, like, they kill Bone Daddy the first time, and then he puts the helmet back on, and he, like, takes
my
Prishka,
God.
and he's like, yes, it's time, like, begin the procedure on her. What did you guys think was happening?
Oh man, I was like, what is he doing?
I honestly, well, you can go, Tay.
No. I was just gonna say I don't know what he was doing. Moz, you can be
Okay. Well,
you go.
Like, I don't think I thought anything about that because I was just in such awe and like excitement about what the hell just happened. I'm like, I like Bondrewd, right? But I honestly thought like they fought him and all, and he dies, and I'm like, is that really it though? Like, is that really all there? Like, they built this character up so much, and then like once the Umbra hand comes over and puts on the helmet, and then he turns into Bondrewd, I'm like, okay, this is awesome. Like, this is this otherworldly villain that they've been building up to this whole time. This is what a White Whistle is. Like, this is freaking sick.
Yeah. For me, I was surprised when you guys said the movie was only an hour and a half earlier, because I felt like it was way longer than that. So when we thought that he had died, I totally believed that was just like the end of the movie.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
I was like, oh, they got him. Like, they did it.
And Cinerus is about to be like, another disappointment from Made in Abyss. The fans are shit.
At that point in the movie, I was already like super on board. And then the other guy puts the helmet on, and it's like, oh, okay.
I was like, there's no way he went down that easy. There's no way.
Yeah.
Like, this dude is crazy.
I mean, it was like, really cool. I'll say that. Like, it was a really awesome fight scene.
Right. God. And then, like, the fact that he doesn't kill them because he doesn't need to kill them, so he doesn't, like, he doesn't have a desire to kill them, so he doesn't kill. Oh man.
Yeah, he's like fascinated that they killed him. He's like, oh, good job. That was cool.
Yeah.
He's the most encouraging antagonist, where he's like, y'all did good. I'm proud of y'all. Sugarashi. And you're like, and that's how it's like so impressively, will shattering, where they're all just sitting there broken after like 2 seconds of him snapping off at them, and he's like, thanks, guys. You helped the missing puzzle piece. Now it's time to operate on my daughter.
He's like, she loves me a lot now. I've got proof. All right, time to get the blessing. I'm gonna capacitate you. Yeah, bless up. Hashtag blessed. I'm gonna capacitate you for a little bit just so I can get this done. Nothing personal. You guys just seem like the type to not be okay with what I'm about to do. So I'm gonna like knock you out. If that's okay, cool. All right. It kind of reminded me like. No one like here, I don't know how much people here follow like basketball, but there was this really famous player named Tim Duncan who was like a really chill dude.
That's a great
and, like,
basketball name.
Tim Duncan. I know, right? Oh,
that's
man. Great. The man was born to play basketball, but like he was so good. Like occasionally he would give pointers to the opposing player. He'd be like, you could have scored on me if you like went over my right shoulder. He's like, no, set your feet better here. Like, you could be so much. And people were like, they'd be so discouraged because they knew he was being genuine and he wanted him to do better. But they're like, why is this guy trying to make me better when he's trying to beat me? And this one guy was like, yeah. So like he was like, fuck it, I'll just listen to him. And so he did the thing that Tim Duncan told him to do. Apparently Tim Duncan like pat him on the back like as they were walking down the court. He's like, good job, thanks for listening. And he's like, what the fuck is going on?
That's
like more infuriating. It kind of reminds me of Yushijima from like Haikyuu, where he's like, I think Orikawa was like, no, we're going to nationals. And he's like, well, there can only be one team who's going to nationals. And it's like just so like dead ass straightforward that you're like, no, this is infuriating. Like, stop trying to encourage me. Just beat me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I ask all that because when he like took Prushka away and they're like, yes, remove like these parts, like we're gonna do the procedure and everything. I thought he was doing like a good thing to her. What
would make you think he was doing a good thing to her?
I don't know.
Because he loves Prushka so much.
Yeah, I thought like he felt so genuine at that point. And like how much he like cared about and loved Prushka, that I thought he was going to like turn her into something. But I thought he was,
and he did.
I thought he was going to like power her up.
he made her
In a way,
not feel pain,
you're not wrong,
which is nice.
in a sense.
Yeah.
I think that's the power of him, is that's what I was thinking when he offered to, like, quote, fix Reg. And I was like, but, okay, fix him up. Wait, no, don't let anyone go near him. And that's, like, the lure no, that's not, he kind of lures you into him. And it's like, hey, like, I love you, I'm gonna help you, but, like, we all know better. But we still want to believe that he's, like, not gonna do it.
Yeah. I had been trying to figure out, like, okay, what does Dawn of the Deep Soul mean, right? And I was like, oh, like, he's been, like, grooming her in order to become some sort of, like, entity.
She's gonna become the Dawn of the Deep Soul.
Reach the bottom. So, like, Prushka, like, has or is the Deep Soul.
That makes sense.
And, like, the final boss of the movie is going to be, like, Giga Monster Prushka.
I can see that. They'll just throw her in a mech and see what happens.
Yeah.
God, imagine this being a mecha anime. Everything would be better with mechs, I'm just saying.
Mondaddy's kind of a mech.
Yeah, he's kind of a biomech in a sense.
Kind of.
But all this to say that Bone Daddy was crazy. He was awesome. What he did with... was he awesome? No, he was terrifying. He was awesome in the fact of, like...
love that guy.
in, like, the bibiblical sense of awesome,
right.
like, oh, like, like, really, like,
The, like, O Fortuna
kind of
playing whenever he comes on screen.
yeah. God, oh my goodness.
I think we should start calling him by what his name really is, which is Daft Punk Xehanort.
Wait, Maz sent me the best message when he was watching this.
Literally, after that, the scene with the helmet, I messaged Sham, just like, bro, this is Xehanort. Like, he just Xehanorted himself.
And he's like,
oh my God.
he's, like, posted, like, Made in Abyss, like, screenshots out of context or something, and one of them was just, like, Xehanort from Kingdom Hearts.
He got Norded.
Oh yeah, and, like, the Daft Punk helmet. Yeah, that was great. Oh my God.
All I really know about Xehanort is the ProZD video. Aqua got
pretty much.
Norded.
That's all you need to know.
That sounds dirty.
Oh man, keep your
this.
Papa Pole away from this.
I love this.
Man, what a film. This was an awesome experience. I'm so glad we were able to get a virtual screening for this. I really hope we get more stuff like this. And it is awesome that they were able to do this. Like, part of me wants to see Heaven's Feel Part 3, like, in a huge movie theater, right? Like, the way I was able to watch Heaven's Feel Part 1, and, but, on the other hand, like, weeb crowds can be interesting.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
It is an experience going to see anime films.
Yeah.
But when you can watch it from the comfort of your own home, it's pretty nice. It was nice to be able to throw it up on the TV.
Yeah. See it on your own time.
Yeah, not have to, like,
pause it to look up the
stay
curves.
social.
Yeah.
Pause it to look up the curves. Not have to, like, worry about, like, social distancing or, like, just, staying home, chilling, not having to pay overpriced costs for popcorn or snacks or drinks,
Yeah.
And it was fun. I definitely needed a drink after this film, though. Like, for sure needed a drink after this film.
Yeah.
Man, what a time. It was a blast. I don't know. I really hope that there's more to this in terms of a film or, like, a sequel.
They did announce a sequel.
They did, yeah.
They did. It's
They
a
did?
to be
Yeah.
continued.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Okay, I was gonna have to read the manga, but now that I know there's a sequel, I don't have to read.
Made in
That's
Abyss
awesome.
too.
Manga. All my homies hate manga.
All my homies hate reading. But that's awesome. I'm excited to see whatever comes next with regards to this. This has been a blast. Did you guys have anything more you guys wanted to touch on with regards to this film?
One point that I wanted to make. I meant to insert this when we were talking about it, but the torture scene with Reg, something that, like, we were talking about, how oddly and uncomfortably specific they get into detail with that, and that's a really interesting parallel with how Rico has examined Reg in the past and things
That's
that
true.
she's said about him.
That's a good point.
Oh,
We're the same, you and I.
We're not so different.
There we go. Yep. And And also just the fact that that scene happened at all. It's like the first time we've really seen Reg in danger in such a way. And it's also another parallel to how
I guess that's
Rico
true.
lost an arm and now Reg lost an arm.
Yeah. Wow, what a smart movie.
I also like
There's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot. I also like the small bit of foreshadowing, so to speak, of when Reg was examining his helmet and noticed that it was dimmer, and he notices it dims every time he uses, the like giant light beam. I forget what they call it. How it keeps dimming.
The incinerator?
Incinerator, yeah. And how like each artifact, every time you use it, dims by, a certain amount. So they only have a certain amount of uses. And I like how he was able to be powered up by electricity, which I'm assuming, charged him back up because he went from like 3 uses back to 10. But I do like how they've introduced that he can't just use that willy-nilly, and then he also passes out for 10 minutes afterwards. Right. So
I wonder if they really needed that restriction on it, because they already had the like he passes out after using it thing as a reason for why like he can't just do it all the time.
I don't really like it when that sort of thing happens, because it's always like, okay, how are they going to bypass this? How are they going to, what's the loophole?
Yeah. But I do like it as a talking point for Nanachi to remind Regu that, like, he needs to be really smart about things, because if he dies, their adventure is over. Yeah. I like it more in that context of, like, you need to realize that you're not completely invincible, and that we don't know what happens when you run out of this, and if you just stop working, then, like, we're both fucked.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, so I wonder how that will come to play in the next arc, because I have not gotten far, because this manga has a interesting release schedule. I think he just kind of like, I think he unironically pulls a Mira and like kind of plays Idolmaster. Like he'll just stop working on it and play Idolmaster stuff, or he plays another game. But I think it has an inconsistent release schedule, so I'm not really sure. But I do know that there's at least 10 to 20 more chapters after this arc, which will obviously be enough to cover Made in Abyss 2. I think they want an actual TV series. I don't think it's going to be a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
So
the last chapter was 55.5 ? Which was released on August 10th, and then chapter 55 was on July 10th.
Yeah.
So it's still ongoing? I thought it ended.
No.
Nah.
Can't stop the Abyss.
And then 54 was on March 20th, 53 was January 10th. So yeah, it's a strange schedule. It just kind of posts it whenever.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited for more Abyss.
I'm in too. And, you can still watch this in theaters as well as from your own home theater by going to the virtual screenings. There's a link in the description and in the tweet to go find how the virtual screening for this. Thank you again to Sentai Filmworks and Haidai for promoting and distributing this film so that we could see it. This has been amazing and so much fun. And if you're listening, so this episode is coming out soon. Not sure exactly when, but the details and the dates will be there. You can get it in the description for our amazing giveaway that we're doing, that we're partnering up for Sentai Filmworks. We talked about it earlier, but again, you can win 2 free Bone Daddy t-shirts. So 2 lucky winners will come away with a Bone Daddy, Bondrewd t-shirt from Sentai Filmworks. And 2 other people will be able to get a free virtual screening of this film to be able to see from the comfort of their home. I'm really excited. All you have to do is follow us, Sentai Filmworks, and retweet and like the tweet with this video, this episode that's linked into it. It's in the description. It's pinned to our Twitter at twitter.com/TokyoPodfathers. You really can't miss it. If you retweet or like it, that counts as 1 entry to win one of the 4 amazing prizes. And if you want another prize, you can leave a comment in our YouTube section, in the comment section below. Let us know what your favorite part of Made in Abyss was. And if you are a true believer of the Rumble of Scientific Triumph, and that'll be another entry to win one of these 4 amazing prizes. Unfortunately, this is only for NA people, I believe Canada and the US. So if you're not there, we're really sorry, but we are hoping to get you guys some more awesome goodies and giveaways in the future. Thank you guys so much for listening to us and joining us in our journey through the Abyss. So we've been the Tokyo Podfathers, the R Anime Podcast. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/the R Anime Podcast, on Twitter at twitter.com/Tokyo Podfathers. You can find me at twitter.com/FeetSealTaylor, Shaw at Shocking807, Moz at Moz. Are you just Mozilla Fennekin?
Yeah.
There we go. And Cinerus isn't on Twitter, but he should be.
No,
Yes.
never. Never.
Okay.
never
Okay.
take me
It's funny
alive.
that we're always like, yeah, Sivers, you should join us on Twitter, but also we completely understand why he doesn't.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's but yeah, again, honestly, thank you so much to Sentai. Like, this has been an awesome experience. Really glad we were able to watch it in the middle of this global pandemic. It's nice to be reminded that there are fates worse than the ones we're going through right now.
Yeah.
It could be worse. It's hard to believe, but it technically could be worse if you were living on like the 5th floor of the abyss.
And we did get confirmation that when Bone Daddy put on his helmet mask thing, that, he got new life and was more powerful, so he is indeed pro-mask.
Oh, he is.
Very nice.
Bondrewd says wear a
Oh man,
mask.
I think. Yeah. All right, we're calling it. Thank you guys so much again for listening. You can find us on YouTube, on Spotify. Thank you everyone to listening to us on Spotify. We really appreciate it. Stitcher, Simplecast, Podomatic.
Apple
no, we're not on.
Podcasts.
Nope. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts, there we are also.
If we're not
Can't
on a
wait to-
platform, tell us, and we will put
Yes.
ourselves on a platform.
Yes, we really want to be able to be as accessible to you guys as all. We don't want you guys to have to need a white whistle to listen to us.
Ooh, that's
We're
a good
like
one.
the opposite.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, thank you guys so much. Have a great day. See you all next time.